Me and Millie have had a nice day. It's been a bit lazy, but we've only been out once to go to Morrison's to get some drinks, and it was pissing it down. The day itself, in terms of weather, was miserable, but otherwise it's been it's been lovely. But I thought I'd do something a bit different that I've never done before in one of these videos, just to make it a bit more interesting. I'm just going to read an excerpt from a book. So I'm just going to read it. This is from The Village by Ivan Bunin. Having completed his task and ordered the samovar, Tikhon Lich went with his lantern into the cold shop, reeking with smells, and picked out the best pickled herring he could find. That was all right, not a bad idea, to cheer oneself up a bit before tea. And at tea he ate it, drank several small glasses of bittersweet yellowish red liqueur made of mountain ash berries, poured himself out a brimming cup of tea, and drew towards himself his large old counting frame. But, after some reflection, he hunted out Deniska's letter and set himself to the task of deciphering its scrawl. Denya reserved 40 rubles in money and then collected his fingers. 40, said Tikhon Lich to himself. Oh, the poor beggar. Denya went to Tula station and he was instantly robbed. They took everything to the last kopeck. He had nowhere to go and sadness seized him. This absurd scrawl was difficult and tiresome to decipher, but the evening was long and nothing else to do. The samovar purred busily, the lamp shone with a quiet light, and there was a sadness in the tranquillity and repose of the evening. The watchman's mallet was working away as he made his rounds noisily, beating out a dance tune upon the frosty air. Excuse me. After that, I hankered to go home, though Feder were very brutal. And there's a fool for you, Lord forgive me, thought Tikhon Lich. The grey man, brutal, forsooth. I went into thick forest to pick out the tallest fir tree, and take a cord from a sugar loaf, and fix myself in eternal life in my new breeches, but with hot boots. Without his boots, he means, I suppose, thought Tikhon Lich, holding the paper at a distance from his tired eyes. Yes, that's right, that's what he means. Afterwards, come strong wind, blew clods and thunderstorm, and a quick big little rain poured. The sun come from behind forest, the cord bend, and a sudden broke, and then you fall on the ground, an intense troll, and begin to bite and work on him, as there called also a snake and green crawfish. Tossing the letter into the slop bowl, Tikhon Lich sipped his tea, planted his elbows on the table, and stared at the lamp. What a queer nation! A soul of many hues. Now a man is just a plain dog. Then again he is melancholy, pities himself, turns soft, weeps over himself, after the fashion of Deniska, or of himself, Tikhon Lich. The window panes were perspiring vigorously and clearly, as they do in winter. The watchman's mallet said something melodiously coherent. If he could only have children. If he only had a nice mistress, instead of that bloated old woman who made his flesh crawl merely by what she said, by her words about the princess, and about some pious nun or some other named Polycarpia, who was known in the town Polocarpia. But it was too late. Too late. Unfastening the embroidered collar of his shirt, Tikhon Lich, with a bitter smile, felt of his throat behind the ears. Those hollows were the first sign of old age. His head was assuming the shape of a horse's head, but otherwise things were not so bad. He bent his head, thrust his fingers into his beard, and his beard was grey, dry, dishevelled. Yes, enough, Tikhon Lich. He drank, grew intoxicated, set his jaws more and more tightly, stared more intently than ever at the wick of the lamp, burning with an even flame. Think of it. You couldn't go to see your own brother, the pigs prevented, like the swine they were. And if they would let him, there would still be a small cause for joy. Cosmo would read him a lecture. The bride would stand with lips pressed tight and drooping eyelashes. Why, those lowered eyelids were enough to make any man take to his heels. His heart sank within him, ached. A pleasing mist clouded his brain. Where had he heard that song? My tiresome evenings come, I know not what to do. My friend beloved is come, he fondles me, loves me true. Ah yes, it was in Lebizan, at the posting station. The young girls, lace-makers, were sitting on an evening and singing. There they sat, weaving their lace, and never raising their eyelashes, they sang in deep ringing tones. He kisses me, embraces me, then takes his love of me. Leave of me, I'm sorry. His brain was clouded. Now it seemed as if everything lay ahead of him. Joy, liberty, freedom from care. Then his heart began to ache painfully, hopelessly. Now he said, if I only had a bit of money in my pocket, I could buy anything, even an aunt at the market. Again he cast a vicious glance at the lamp and muttered, alluding to his brother, teacher, preacher, pitiable philaret, ragged devil. He drank the rest of the mountain ash berry cordial and smoked until the room grew dark. With uncertain steps he went out across the shaking, uneven floor, clad only in his roundabout, into the dark anteroom. He was sensible of the piercing coldness of the air, the smell of straw, the odour of the dogs, and he perceived two greenish lights blinking on the threshold. Bouillon, he shouted, and he kicked Bouillon over the head with all his might. Then he listened to the watchman's mallet, keeping time to it with his feet. He spat on the steps of the porch, mentally accompanying the action with, come straight to me, look straight at me. And as he set off in the direction of the highway, he shouted, blow on a squirrel's tail. It'll be all the more downy for it. A death-like silence lay over the earth, which showed softly in the starlight. The highway shone faintly white as it faded out into the gloom. Far away, as if emanating from beneath the surface of the earth, a rumbling sound became audible and grew louder from moment to moment, and suddenly the orchestra came to the surface with its droning. In the distance, cutting across the highway, its chain of windows lighted by electricity, gleaming whitely, trailing smoke wreaths as a flying witch trails her tresses, redly illuminated from below. The express train dashed